darker blues here. That indicates very heavy snow. Could still be a mix in the extreme part of our viewing area down by the Ohio border, but for the most part, all of Metro Detroit will have these heavy, wet snow bands during the evening rush hour. We could see rates as high as 1 inch to 2 inches per hour, so it's going to total up very quickly. So even though it looks like it's fine at 3 o'clock, even 4 o'clock, by 5 or 6 o'clock, those roads could quickly become treacherous. And then it continues all the way through 11 o'clock tonight. It finally pulls away overnight tonight. So how much are we expecting? Quite a bit west and north of downtown Detroit, but here's a look at the snowfall totals by 8 o'clock tonight. Already seeing 4, upwards of 5 inches, 6 inches out to our west. Then as we go into tomorrow early morning hours, 8.6 inches in Howell, 7 in Pontiac. Notice a little less on the east side. We're expecting this band to set up right here, west and northwest of Metro Detroit. That will be the heaviest amount of snow and the highest snow totals. 8.6 in Howell at midnight, 6.7 in Ann Arbor. Still 4 to 5 inches, though, even in downtown Detroit. So this is a fairly significant snowfall in a very short period of time. Then overnight into the early morning hours Saturday could pick up at least another inch or so, especially out in Howell, where there'll be just under 10 inches of snow, 8 in Pontiac, and anywhere from 3 to 6 on the east side and down into Monroe County. So again, this afternoon, we're just starting to see those snow totals come in as we get to Monroe County, but they will continue to rise as we go throughout the afternoon, and conditions will deteriorate by the evening commute. Right now, we'll return you back to programming, but you can keep us on 24/7 on Local 4 Plus. I'm forewarned meteorologist Kim Adams. Let's send it back over to Christy McDonald.
All right, thanks so much, Kim. It's good to see you as we roll into this Friday afternoon watching this winter storm that is heading into southeast Michigan. I'm Christy McDonald. Thanks so much for joining us for our storm coverage here on Local 4 Plus and clickondetroit.com. We have all that you need to know right there on clickondetroit.com, including the school closings. We know that the school day is almost over for most kids, but a lot of those evening activities have been canceled. Make sure you check the bottom of the screen. We'll be streaming it all afternoon long. Also, we will be updating you on the forecast with the radar. As you heard Kim say, that snow is starting to come into Monroe County right now, and it will start moving upward into the area. We've been checking in and road commissions all around the area to see how they are preparing and getting ready for the snowfall. We've checked in with Oakland and over into Washtenaw and into Wayne. So let's go on to Macomb County right now. Macomb County Executive Mark Hackel joins me. All right, Mark, you're in the car right now, so you are in transit. It's good to see you. Tell us what's going on today in Macomb County.
Yeah, Christy, I just happen to be south of the border right now. I was meeting some folks, a law enforcement issue out in Ohio, and believe it or not, I'm coming back right now from south of the border. And well, I got to say, Kim is spot on. It's already starting to rain here, and it's kind of like following me back to Detroit, Macomb County. So it is, it's kind of heavy right now. It's just south of the border in Ohio. But our road crews, like many others, are prepared to handle it. We've got our trucks out there. They got their salt, the brine. If it's going to be something icy, they'll know how to deal with those conditions. But I got to imagine it's going to get a little bit heavier with snow. And obviously, as we always tell people, just be careful. We don't know exactly what to expect with these temperatures right around that freezing mark. So just be cautious. Stay away from our trucks as they're out there trying to do their job.
Yeah, I think that's the main message, is make sure that the trucks can do their work, especially if it's going to be a heavy snow that they're going to be plowing, if people just want to give a little bit of extra time. Hey, Mark, kind of describe for people who maybe aren't totally familiar with Macomb County in terms of what the different issues or specific special issues that road crews deal with in Macomb County because of some of the rural areas that you have and also by the lakes, what you have to take into consideration.
Actually, it's a great question because that ice storm really presented a real problem in the northern part of the county, which most people weren't aware of. It's those dirt roads. Sometimes they're very difficult. You can't salt them, you can't brine them, and it's very difficult to plow them. So they become a sheet of ice, and a lot of people aren't used to that. And we've seen a lot of people in ditches, a lot of car accidents as a result of that. But we're like any other county or anywhere else you would travel when you got icy or snowy roads. They try to get onto those roundabouts to make sure they get the main intersections and the on-off ramps to the interstates. So, we just try to tell people, we're going to be out there. We're going to be putting that salt down, the brine down, trying to get ahead of it. But again, when you're going out, if you've got to go out, you know what to expect. I mean, not your first time driving in Michigan. Just be very cautious, and it's all about the speed. Slow down.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we know how to drive through snow like this, but sometimes when it hits and it comes fast like this, and when Kim was talking about even possibility of 2 inches an hour at some points in the evening, that can really make for some treacherous conditions. Hey, Mark, talk to me a little bit about, we've had some storms throughout the season. It feels like we go for a little bit and then all of a sudden we have a big storm. How you doing, Macomb County, on resources in terms of public works and making sure that you're cleaning up the trees after an ice storm and all of a sudden now you're pivoting and doing the plowing for the snow?
Yeah, it's a difficult time of year, Christine. I say that because, road crews, whether it's local DPWs, county road departments, or even MDOT, what you're dealing with is kind of you're gearing up your trucks to deal with the salt, the snow removal. And then as soon as that's done, now we're trying to figure out, because it happens to be pothole season, how we patch it and how we filling some of those potholes, as well as getting ready for the actual reconstruction of some of the roads. So this is a difficult time of year for crews. And again, right now, putting all the stuff that we need as far as our maintenance people and the trucks together to get out there, get ready for the snow and the ice. And soon after this, the next day or two, after we get it out of subdivisions and where else it might be, we're going to be out there trying to fill potholes. And right away, people are calling to get our attention on that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely that almost springtime in Michigan where you've got snow and potholes, ice storms, all sorts of different things to take care of. Mark, you stay in that car long enough, we might have to slap a Local 4 sticker on it and make you do live reports for us throughout the afternoon. Give us a last look at what you're experiencing driving. I take it, are you driving north on 75?
Yeah, I feel like Tim when he does
Exactly.
When he goes out there and does those road reports. I don't quite have his voice, but he's one of my favorites. I love listening to him when he's out there doing it live from the roads. But yeah, so it's heading north right now. We know it's coming. Road crews are out. We're going to be prepared to do our job. So we just hope the public does theirs and be mindful. Just try to slow down. You come into an intersection, slow down ahead of time. Make sure you've got your solvent in the windshield wiper reservoir, because you're going to need it. I mean, it's going to be the biggest challenge I think moving forward. So slow down, pay attention.
All right, thanks so much. Mark Hackel, Macomb County Executive, doing a live drive for us there. Hey, if you hit anything else that we need to see, get back in touch with us, and we'll put you back on. We really appreciate it, Mark. You take care of yourself.
Thanks.
All right, yeah, a little break up there as Mark Hackel was driving north on 75 through Monroe County. He said actually it was raining right now. He was coming from a law enforcement conference down actually in northern Ohio. So good to check in with him, and we're so glad that you are joining us right now for our extended coverage here on Local 4 Plus of the winter storm that is heading our way here in southeast Michigan in just a couple of hours from now, coming up from the south. Please stay with us right here on Local 4 Plus and click on Detroit.com. I will be right back. Good afternoon to you. I'm Christy McDonald. Thanks so much for joining us for our live storm coverage here on Local 4 Plus and clickondetroit.com. We are going to be with you throughout the afternoon as we watch this winter storm head into our area. So let's get on over to Kim Adams to take a look at the forecast and where things stand now. Hey, Kim.
Hi, Christy. Well, we are starting to see the first signs of snow just coming across the Ohio border. It is snowing now in Monroe, also over in Adrian. We also have had some reports of a little bit of rain mixing in, but at this point it looks like the majority of what is coming in as snow. And it's overspreading parts of Wayne County right now, but a lot of this not yet reaching the ground. So along I-75 from Ecorse down through Flat Rock, Monroe, LaSalle, over to Dundee, Belleville reporting just a little light snow right now, but a lot of what's coming down in Wayne County just not quite reaching the ground. It's just getting going now, but in the next hour that will change as this snow continues to push up to the north. So we are continuing to be under a winter storm warning that is in effect until 4 a.m. Saturday. The heaviest snow still expected to fall right during the evening commute. So even if it looks fine where you are right now and you're thinking, I can stay at work a little longer, the best thing to do is to get on the road, get home before the really heavy bands come through around 5 or 6 o'clock tonight. But we're already starting to see some of those bands just to our south. So this storm is definitely coming at 2 o'clock, right where we placed it with the models. It's starting to come up from the south. Now keep an eye on the clock. By 5 o'clock, the darker bands you see here out in Howell, that is very heavy snow at a rate of perhaps as much as 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches an hour. We also have high winds later today, around 35 to 40 miles per hour. So visibilities will quickly reduce in many locations. So 1 minute it's fine, the next minute it is snowing and you can barely see. That's going to be the situation for the evening commute. South of Monroe, right along the Ohio border, is that rain-snow line where it changes over to rain. So down I-75 through Toledo, Bowling Green to Columbus, that's all rain. But north of it is at this point looking to be all snow. By 11 o'clock, still snowing, although it will start to taper down. Same thing from south to north. So if you're in Oakland or Macomb counties up into the Thumb, you're going to hang on to some snow for a little bit longer. Overnight tonight, it comes to an end, and we look forward to a decent weekend. So this is only a one-night event for us. Snow totaling up quickly. At 4 o'clock, already seeing about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on the ground in many areas. But watch what happens by 8 o'clock. Here's the legend up here, from 1 inch to over a foot. Some areas seeing 2 inches on the east side primarily, where there'll be a little rain-snow mix. But as you go farther to the west and northwest, these totals quickly add up. So at 4 o'clock, only 1 inch in Ann Arbor. By 8 o'clock, almost 5 inches. So do the math. Again, falling at a rate of anywhere between 1 inch to 2 inches per hour. The heaviest band setting up from Lapeer down through Howell over to Jackson. Jackson expecting to get at least 11 inches of snow in that heaviest snow band, but Howell could get to 8.6 by midnight, 7.3 in Pontiac, and then around 4 or 5 inches for much of the rest of Metro Detroit. A little bit more after midnight, although again, the heaviest snow starts to taper, but we could pick up another inch or so. 8.4 the final total in Pontiac, 9.9 in Howell, 7.3 in Ann Arbor. So you can see that swath right there. That's the darker pinks indicating close to a foot of snow in those areas north and west of Detroit. So again, by midnight, things are going to start to quiet down, and by tomorrow morning, this should all be done and over with. But it's going to be a tricky evening commute, so we'll stay with you throughout the next several hours, and of course join us on Local 4 News at 4, 5, and 6. Christy?
All right, Kim, we know you'll have it covered. And again, as we keep watching this, we'll continue to be here on Local 4 Plus. Clickondetroit.com. And it is really the road conditions. And Kim talks about, don't push it. If you can leave work and head on home now, that's probably the best thing to do. You can just get out of the way of other traffic, and really of the road crews who are going to be working out there tonight as this snow comes down, starts to come down heavy. Joining me now is Craig Bryson with the Road Commission for Oakland County. Craig, we got to stop meeting like this. I feel like that we're on Zoom, what is it, every week now with one of these storms? Ice last week. We got a lot of snow this week. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and give us a sense of what the plan is for tonight in Oakland County?
Well, we're ready to go. We're actually just watching the same thing you guys are watching, waiting for the snow to start. We plan to have about 80 trucks hitting the road as soon as we see the first flakes, and we'll keep those trucks out all night long. As Kim just mentioned, our biggest concern is when we get those snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour. There's no way we can keep up with that, and the roads will be covered, even though we're doing everything we can to clear them. So we agree, please, if you don't have to drive tonight, stay off the roads.
So, and when we talk about a March snowfall, is there anything different that you guys take into consideration because of the time of year, or now that this is really wet, heavy snow? And tomorrow we're looking at 40s, and that can be slightly helpful in terms of melt.
Well, that certainly should help in the process. And one of the nice things is the cleanup won't take 3 or 4 days like it might had this fallen in February or January. But really, as far as the snow, the way we approach it is about the same. We salt and we plow and try to move it off the roads. If we do begin to get more than 4, 5, 6 inches, we'll put the big front end plows on the trucks. Those are much better for moving that big, heavy snow. Otherwise, we'll start out with the underbelly plows that can easily move up to 4 inches of snow.
You know, I think we always give the guidance for people to give you guys a lot of room and to take their time. Have your crews been able to come back and give you some feedback over the last, 2 months or so? Again, we've had a couple of these really big snowmakers or really big storm events. Do you feel that that the public is really kind of taking heed and giving you guys the space that you need to get the job done?
Well, many people are, but unfortunately not all of them. We've had several cars run into the back of our plows in the last month or so. Fortunately, nobody's been injured, but people just trailing too close to those big trucks. And it's not good when a vehicle crashes into, a 12-ton truck made of steel. Your car is not gonna do well. So we ask people to please don't tailgate, don't cut them off, give them the room they need. They're making the roads safe for the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, your trucks will win every single time. Is there any advice that you give to people, like a 3-car lengths distance, or don't try to pass the trucks, or what would you say?
Absolutely, don't try to pass the trucks. We had a vehicle ran head-on into a state trooper not long ago in northern Oakland County trying to pass one of our trucks, and we don't want to see any more of that. But we would suggest 5, 6 lengths behind the truck. Remember, there's rock salt coming out of the back of these trucks, and that's hard rock salt coming out at a pretty good pace, especially if they're on a road where they're moving a little bit. You don't want that hitting your windshield, so please give them the room.
Yeah, we know that we have you have priorities. Oakland County, Macomb, Wayne, you all have different priorities for roads and whatnot. Just refresh us again, your priority for cleanup and for plowing in Oakland County.
Yeah, and that's dictated by safety. We plow and salt the roads with the most traffic traveling at the highest speeds first. So that's the freeways and then the busiest surface streets. And then we work down from there. One of the negative side effects of that is the bottom of the list is subdivision streets that have the least traffic moving at the slowest speeds. So it'll be a little while till we start clearing subdivisions if, in fact, we get to the point where that's needed.
Yeah, a little bit of patience there. How are you doing supply-wise? Priya Mann was out at a Salt Dome a little bit earlier on today, and we saw that it was pretty full. It's always a great-looking visual there. But supply-wise, how is Oakland County doing?
We're in good shape.
Yeah.
We have not used as much salt at this point in the year as we have in the last couple of years. In fact, about a week ago, we were about half the level we were for the last 2 years at this point. So salt supplies are in good shape. Our salt vendor is still resupplying us on a daily basis as needed. So that should not be a problem in this event.
All right, so Craig, give me a sense of how this winter has kind of stacked up for you. I know that, again, we haven't had a ton of consistent snow, but we've had these storms that come up. How would you measure this winter in terms of difficult logistics, because there was the ice storm and then we've got these big snowmakers, in comparison to other years? Or is this just kind of commonplace for us now?
Well, it has been a little bit challenging. We haven't had a lot of consistent big snows, but we have had as you know, a couple of big events. You know, this last storm we had, we're still cleaning up the down trees and down branches along the side of the road. In fact, we had crews all over the county today continuing that cleanup. We're still waiting for DTE to get the electricity back on for a couple of the signals that were knocked out at that storm. So there's been a lot of sort of lingering ramifications from the storms that we have seen. But on the positive side, so far, we've seen a cost savings. Whether that holds through the rest of the winter season or not remains to be seen, but so far so good.
Yeah, it's always a good reminder for people that your crews aren't just sitting around waiting for it to snow. They do a whole lot of other maintenance, everything from potholes to cleaning up those down limbs, all sorts of things that then they all of a sudden have to flip the switch and get ready for a snow event.
That's a great point. In fact, today, the orange trucks you'll see out on the road all night tonight, those people already worked an 8-hour shift, patching potholes, cleaning up trees, cleaning drainage structures so there won't be flooding after event. They've been working all day long doing all kinds of things, and now they start, as you said, now they go into winter maintenance mode and work all night long.
And here we go again. Craig Bryson with Oakland County. I really appreciate the time. Don't take it personally, but I hope we don't have to meet like this again. I hope we don't have another storm in the next couple of weeks, and we have a smooth sailing throughout the rest of spring. But you take care. Thanks again to your crews and everything that you do, and we'll give you plenty of room on the roads there tonight.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You heard Craig talking about how the county crews are out in Oakland County still cleaning up from the ice storm from last week. And it was really interesting that he talked about how some signals at intersections are still out, that they are still waiting for DTE to get the electricity back up in a couple of different places. So frustration is, as maybe a mild word, has been boiling for Michigan utility customers after that ice storm last week. And the DTE has been under fire. People have not been happy with being out of power for as long as they were. DTE said that they have been working as fast as they can, that last week's ice storm was an event that hadn't happened in many, many years, and it really strained the system. Devin Skillian sat down with Jerry Norcia, who is the head of DTE, yesterday, and he asked him a couple of very pointed questions about the frustration from customers and what DTE is doing in their response.
It's not news to you for me to tell you that you have a lot of absolutely furious customers. What
Yes.
are you telling them?
Well, we completely understand. You know, last Wednesday night we had a historic ice storm that rolled through Wednesday night, through Thursday night, and at the end of all of that we had about 1.7 million customers that still had power, but that's what's not important. We had 630,000 customers without power that evening. And while we restored 50%, by Friday night, and 80% by Saturday night, and 98% by Sunday night, we had about 14 or 15,000 customers that rolled into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I just have to say to my customers, that's unacceptable.
But we also had a big problem with expectation management. Don't tell me my power is going to be back on Sunday if I'm going to not actually see power until the following Tuesday or Wednesday. I mean, why was that mistake made in maybe underestimating what it took to get back online?
That's a great question. You know, we get these type of ice storms every 50 or 60 years. So typically when we produce an estimate, it's based on our historic instances where we've had outages and so many customers and so many devices that appear disabled on this screen, and we make an estimate. But when you arrive on a job and you actually see the damage, it was a lot more extensive than any of our models had predicted. That's why we, on Thursday and Friday, we brought an incremental 1,000 workers in, because the damage was much worse. So when we arrived at the job, we found that it was going to take a lot longer to repair. And that's why estimates changed. Not ideal, not great for our customers, but these are very rare events that are happening more and more often.
I'm sure you're familiar with the Citizens Utility Board breakdown that shows that Michigan has the 5th worst efficiency when it comes to, and reliability when it comes to utilities in the country. I thought, well, Michigan has more trees maybe. I start looking into it. Washington State, 2nd best. Minnesota, 9th best. Even Wisconsin, I think 24th or 25th best. Why are we lagging the rest of the country in our reliability of our systems?
Great question. Let me break it down for you. So there's really 2 components to reliability. One is the number of outages, and 2, the amount of time that it takes to restore those outages. So from a number of outages perspective, we're about average in the country, which is still not great. We don't have the best grid in terms of number of outages and the frequency of outages. The duration is below average. the amount of time that it takes to restore.
You need more investment, but the timing was not lost on a lot of people. You're going to ask me for more money when my service is what it is.
Well, what the reality is that for 4 years we have not asked for a price increase in our delivery rates, and we've invested $8 billion into the grid. And if we're going to invest another $9 billion in the grid, we're asking for about an $8 to $9 per month increase that, you know, covers that 4 years without any increase, and also some future investments.
I want to get to, we've received a ton of questions for me to ask you.
Yes.
One of them said, I spent hundreds of dollars on hotels and food, and DTE is only giving me a $35 credit. Why can't you reimburse me for the total losses? I want to ask you about the $35 credit. A lot of people found that insulting, and a lot of people were telling me it was worse than giving me nothing. What is $35 for?
Well, look, at the $35, I would agree, is not going to cover the type of expenses that an extended outage would cause, you know, hotel stays, loss of food, and that sort of thing. And when we work with our regulator, we're trying to find a balance for how much do we reimburse for an outage versus how much do we reinvest in making the future better and making the grid better.
If we are the 5th worst in the country at reliability, how long can it reasonably take for us to move up much higher where we belong?
I would say that you know, we've been investing heavily for the last 5 years, and over the next 5 years, I think we will climb that ladder to being at least median.
And that was Devin Scillian's interview with Jerry Norcia, and it will be very interesting for everyone to watch the storm move in tonight. It's possible that there are some trees that have been weakened by the ice storm from last week that could be weighed down by the amount of snow, which is supposed to be really heavy, wet snow coming this afternoon. So there is a potential for power outages there. So DTE says that they are ready for that. They also do want to remind people to stay away from any down power lines. Let's go ahead and take you outside right now and give you a look at what's happening, because we're talking about it coming from the south and moving up. And this is beautiful Ann Arbor. Hello, Ann Arbor. Good afternoon to you. And here's the snow. It's already moved in here this afternoon, and so it looks a little actually foggy from our camera, but that's the precipitation that's coming in. So the snow is indeed on its way, and guess what? We're going to be here for you all afternoon long right here on Local 4 Plus, and click on Detroit.com. Again, March snowstorm for us heading our way. It's supposed to really pick up in speed around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock this afternoon, and then through the evening hours. So if you can get out of work now and head on home, that's probably the best plan for you. Please stay with us. We will be right back with our continuing coverage, snow totals, and the radar for you.
Good afternoon. I'm forewarned meteorologist Kim Adams. Just want to give you a quick update on a significant winter storm just now starting to impact most of Metro Detroit. In fact, as we look at ExactTrack 40 radar, snow started in Monroe just about an hour ago, and it has been continuing to move north. We're going to zoom in a bit here and show you some of the heaviest bands of precip right now in the western part of Wayne County. Let's go in and do a little street level mapping for you. Taylor, Romulus, Canton, just getting some snow right now. Also in Salem, Farmington Hills, seeing snow. When you head to the east side, that's where that rain snow line mix up, and we're starting to see a little mixed precip from downtown south into the downriver areas. The closer you get to the lake, the more likely you are to get that rain snow mix. The farther to the west, the heavier snow bands affecting you. As we pull back out just a little bit, you can see it snowing right now in Warren, also here in downtown Detroit. So we are still under a winter storm warning in effect until 4 a.m. Saturday. We will continue to see conditions deteriorate through the evening commute. Let's take a look at the computer model and where we are right now. Snow anywhere from I-94 south, continuing to spread north over the next several hours. So by 5 o'clock, notice the deeper blues and purples here you see here. That is very heavy snowfall. Snowfall at a rate of about 1 inch to 2 inches an hour. So even though if it's just light snow at your house right now or no snow, does not mean by 5 o'clock it won't be snowing very heavily. This snow will start to pull away and weaken. The system will move off to the east. After about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, that snow will taper, but it will continue through the early morning hours Saturday. By Saturday at 7 a.m., everything is done. So this is mainly just tonight. The heaviest precip anywhere between 5 and about 10 o'clock tonight. So 4 o'clock will start to pick up a little accumulation, but watch how quickly it totals up. By 8 o'clock, already close to 4 inches in Pontiac, over 4 inches in Howell, 4.8 in Ann Arbor. And then by midnight tonight, an 8-inch total. Not out of the question for Howell, close to that in Pontiac. So you can see north and west of the city is where we'll get the heaviest amount. As you go to the east side, still significant snow in a short period of time, but lesser amounts, and then some mixing with rain down in Monroe, which cuts down the totals. But all of Metro Detroit pretty much in that 3 to 8 inch range in a very short period of time, and then overnight picking up a little bit more for Howell. The heaviest amount back out in Lansing and Jackson, where they could see over 1 foot of snow. But we'll continue to monitor the situation. Road temps right now, I just checked, they are still above freezing, so a lot of what is falling is melting, but those road temps will go down, the snow will pick up, and that evening commute will be tricky. You can keep us on right now. We're continuing coverage on Local 4 Plus. You can stream us there, and we'll be back at 4 o'clock with Local 4 News.
Good Friday afternoon to you. Just after 3 o'clock, I'm Christy McDonald. Thanks so much for joining us for our live coverage of the winter storm that is heading to southeast Michigan, and it has already arrived in some places. We saw some snow out in Ann Arbor. It's coming up from the south. Kim Adams has been updating us all afternoon on the forecast as we watch the snow move on in. We know that it is going to be a messy evening commute. We've been checking in with the road commissions around the area, and we want to make sure that you have the latest conditions where you live so you know where you can go out and about or if you need to stay on home. So let's head on out to the roads this afternoon as we continue our live coverage. Mara McDonald is on the road. Mara Mac, where are you right now and where are you headed?
Christy McD, we just passed the 696-96 cutoff heading west we're heading towards Livingston County, but I would like to share the glory of not only our incoming snowstorm, but copious amounts of road construction at the same time, which means that nobody is getting anywhere fast right now. And if you are lucky enough to work someplace where they're going to let you out early today, I would take advantage because the construction slows you down enough, but already, I mean, we're not driving quickly at all on these roads as it is. So, yeah, by the way, a fleet of DTE trucks we saw heading down I-75 as we were making our way out of the city. And we've also seen salt trucks doing some pre-treating. So everybody's out and about, just sort of waiting to see what's going to fall.
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching the forecast, and Kim is here with us this afternoon as we go through. Give viewers a sense of when you go out to cover a storm like this, when we all get kind of the the marching orders of how we're going to do this. What will you look for tonight, and what will be what you'll be doing for the next couple of hours?
Well, first of all, where we're going to get a coffee. But on a more serious note,
it's all right. I take good coffee advice too, especially about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You have to keep us posted with the live report on that one.
No, but our primary job is when the kind of thing rolls in is we've got to take a look at the freeways, let people know if they're passable, and then your main arteries. Nobody's going into anybody's subdivision at this juncture because they never get cleared immediately anyway. So, the key is, can you get down the freeway, and are the main arteries clear, and are people going to be able to get around? We are heading to Howell in Livingston County because when you look at the way the storm is coming in, it looks like there's going to be a substantial amount of snow there in a relatively short period of time. So, anybody who's lived in this area for any amount of time always knows that if you're north of 59, you're always going to get more snow. So, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at, and I think that's where we're going to set ourselves up to see what comes down and what people can expect. And just as a reminder for everybody, including my nearly 90-year-old dad who doesn't listen to a word I say, this is clearly very wet snow. This is not skiing, this is not powder snow. And if we get the amounts that it looks like we're going to get in some areas, I would really hope that if you are older and if you have, heart issues, that you're not out there trying to tackle this. Now, of course, all that said, my dad will be out there snow blowing at midnight, I have no doubt. But just be aware, this is not the fun kind of snow for skiing or anything like that. Maybe for making an ice ball, but that's really where we're at.
Yeah,
Christy?
that's a great reminder, Mara. And again, to check on your neighbors, and if you've got some, hardy teens at home, that you can put them out there and put them to work and help people out. It's definitely something that shovel a little bit, take a break, especially when Kim is talking about some of the rates this evening. If we're looking at, an inch an hour, 2 inches an hour, that stuff's going to pile up and it's going to be pretty heavy. I will have to say that Kim is here in the studio with me, and she's working on some, maps and models for us. But she did say, it's serious when Mara passes 12 Oaks Mall and she doesn't stop.
I mean, fact check, true. But I, and Eric brought this up. Our visibility is diminishing the further west we go at a pretty rapid pace. So that whole idea that Livingston and that Howell area is going to experience more sooner really looks like it's going to be a real thing, because already I'd say within the last 5 minutes our visibility is diminished considerably.
Yeah.
And I know you can see.
How fast are you going, Mara? How fast is Eric driving? About?
Hollywood stunt driver Eric Yetta is driving about 60 miles an hour now, and that's that's an improvement over what is closer down by Southfield and Novi, which is a lot slower simply because of the road construction. I mean, it truly, I mean, not to use something trite, but it is the perfect storm. We have so much road construction here, and we are looking at the potential of so much snow that it is already, I mean, at what, 3:00 whatever, it's already turning into an unattractive evening commute on a Friday. So if your office or your place of business will let you out, take advantage and head on home. I would if I could.
I know. I was just going to say, you can't go anywhere, Mara. We've got you. We need you. And again, you're our eyes and ears, which is really wonderful. But it's a great point about the construction, especially all of you who are in Oakland County. If you're heading, you know, that's where I head when I'm heading to Channel 4 down here in Detroit. They've restarted that construction there and shut down some lanes, so it's already much slower commute in that regard. You know, Mara, thanks for this. Thanks for the live report. You and Eric stay safe, and we'll check in with you in a little bit. And you know, just for everyone who's watching us on Local 4 Plus and Click on Detroit, you know, we like to have a little bit of fun together when we're covering events like this, because you have to have a little moments of levity here and there, and that's why we like to tease Mara, who likes to shop a little bit. But know that we are out and about, and we just want to make sure that we're bringing you what the conditions are accurately as it changes from hour to hour, because we know that this storm is going to change. And again, we know that you know how to handle snow. If you live in Michigan, this is what we do, right? But when we have conditions that change rapidly, we want to make sure that you are on top of any of those changes. Another good thing to remember that Kim tells us a lot about is to get that Forewarn Weather app. Just go to the App Store and type in WDIV. You can get that Forewarn Weather app, and it tells you what the forecast is for right where you are, and that is so accurate, and it's so important to have. So when you're watching us, you know, live, and you're wondering, well, what's it happening exactly in my yard if I'm at work and I need to get home, that's where you're going to find that information. So that's good to have with you for this kind of storm. So we have been watching the road. So we see that Mara is heading out towards Howell, Livingston County, out there on 96. And we've been checking around the area. We want to go down now to Monroe and see what is happening down in Monroe. And who do we have there? Hey, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us. So
Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and give us a sense of what you're doing down in Monroe, what the conditions are right now, and what it looks like.
We got a pretty heavy snow flurry right now. Temperatures are in our favor. They're 37 degrees. Road temperatures are about 40 degrees. I know they're calling for a significant amount of snowfall, but we're hoping that the weather and ground temperatures reduces some of that forecast. They're predicting anywhere from 5 to 8 inches.
So, Ed, tell us about how many crews that you have out and about right now, and what was the switch, I think, today from doing, I think we've heard from a lot of other road commissions, maintenance, and then going into snow removal?
Yeah, we just got over a major ice event, several hundred trees down, utility poles. Well, we spent the first 4 hours still trying to clean that mess up. Came in about noon. We got 30 trucks out on the road right now, loaded and ready to tackle this event.
So, Ed, I mean, what do you anticipate for tonight in terms of, are there different, because we're talking about significant snow, are there different types of plows, or do you have different shovels on the front for a larger snow event, like 8 inches of snow versus just, you know, pushing 3 inches of snow?
We do. We have the belly underbody scrapers, which is our main go-to item. We have wing plows, which allows us to push the snow further off the roadways. And we do have the front plows if necessary. With the winds being what they're calling for, we could see some significant drifting. I see that being more of a hazard than just the heavy wet snow. Every storm different. That's the exciting part about this job.
All right, thanks so much. Ed Chineveric from Monroe County, thanks so much for joining me. You guys stay safe out there. I know you have a long night ahead of you, but we appreciate your time now.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. And so we are going to be continuing our coverage of the snowstorm that is heading here to southeast Michigan. The snow is already coming down in several areas. We've seen in Ann Arbor, also out heading towards Howell. You saw Mara McDonald. We will be right back. Stay with us.
Good afternoon. I'm forewarned meteorologist Kim Adams. Just want to bring you an update on this winter storm. Continuing to see snow pick up in intensity across all of Metro Detroit. East side getting a little rain snow mix, but most of Metro Detroit blanketed in snow. And there are some heavy snow bands, especially right now in the western part of Wayne County, right along Canton over to Livonia. We are all under a winter storm warning in effect until 4 a.m. Saturday. Your forecast at 4.
And you are watching our live continuing coverage of the winter snowstorm that is hitting southeast Michigan. The snow is already arriving, coming up from the south in many parts of our viewing area. And we are going to be here on Local 4 Plus and Click on Detroit throughout the 3 o'clock hour until we take you into the newscasts at 4 p.m., 4, 5, and 6, of course. The storm is expected to pick up in intensity starting around 4 o'clock, and then we're going to see those snow totals grow throughout the evening. It promises to be a pretty tricky evening commute. So if you have not left work yet and you're watching us online on clickondetroit.com, I get it, but maybe you might want to think about leaving a little bit early and heading on out if you can. But there are many people that can't leave early, or they're first responders and they have to be out on the roads, or they're leaving their jobs at a television station. And so we have to see what the conditions on the roads are going to be like. So Andrew Candrevas from Wayne County, he's the Director of Public Services, joins me this afternoon. Andrew, it's great to see you again as we continue to kind of, I think, just check in and see how conditions are changing. What are you hearing about parts of Wayne County now?
Hi, Christine. Good afternoon. Good to see you again.
Yep.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing snowfall, and we were concerned earlier in the day of how much rain we would receive before the snow, and it wasn't too much rain, and it's gone to snowfall now. So we have been salting out for a couple hours and trying to get ahead of the snowfall. But as you had mentioned, and as everybody's been talking about on WDIV, that there's going to be a lot of snow that falls in a very short amount of time. So it is going to get very treacherous out there between the hours of 4 o'clock and midnight. And if anybody can get off the roads and can get home early, please do so.
Yeah, so when we talk about a rush hour and when you have to plan for plowing the freeways, and even salting them at this kind of time and looking at the forecast, what do you have to take into consideration with your crews?
It always makes it more difficult whenever you have to get out there with your plows during a busy time of day. And this is definitely a busy time of day, the evening rush hour. We obviously hit the freeways really hard. We hit the primary roads hard, and that's what our focus is on. It does affect us, and the type of snow that falls also affects us. Mm-hmm. And the type of snow that falls, if it's a heavier, wetter snow, you have to go a certain temperature. You have to go a certain speed when it's a certain temperature and you're getting that kind of snowfall. So it is going to make it trickier for our drivers, that's for sure.
Mara McDonald was on 96 and she was heading out toward Livingston County, and we were talking about how the extra challenge is really construction. We've seen a lot of big construction projects start back up again, and that also slows things down. How do your crews take into construction in consideration? I mean, some of those lanes can be a little tight.
Yeah, construction is always an issue. And, as we've seen from the last week, debris from falling trees is also an issue. That's something that we've had to struggle with for the last week, just trying to get the debris picked up. And then you add the snow removal on top of that, and construction projects and potholing projects that have been happening. So our drivers do know their routes. These are their streets, and they maintain them 365 days a year. So they are aware of all the route challenges, and we take that into consideration.
So I was talking just a short time ago to Craig Bryson in Oakland County, and he was talking about, because again, we talk to you all the time when we have snowstorms about people should give the plows room. They need to give the salt trucks room. Be patient. And I was wondering, I asked Craig if people had really been kind of heeding that warning, and he said, they've had a couple of instances where people have been slamming into their trucks and there's accidents because people are getting too close or they're trying to pass trucks. What has it been your experience with these last couple of storms in Wayne County? Have you had any of those incidents, and what would you tell people?
Well, we definitely have our share of incidences, and it's not limited to snow and ice. When people just aren't paying attention or just aren't driving for conditions, they come upon our work crews, and they also are hitting us on our snow and ice routes as well. But people have to remember they're in snowy weather. The plows are out there because the weather's already bad and the roads are bad. So don't think you can just pass that plow and get ahead of it and go on your way, because the road in front of that plow is probably not better than the road behind that plow. Please give them a wide berth. We use wing plows in certain situations. These are very technical machines, and the drivers are paying attention to a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. They really don't need you trying to use apps on your phone or go too fast for conditions around them.
Yeah, absolutely. Pay attention to what's going on. All right. Any last things that we should be aware of tonight and going into overnight in terms of expectation for clearing the roads, knowing that this snow event is probably going to be going till about midnight and beyond?
Yeah, we definitely expect it from midnight and beyond. We'll be working all night this evening, all night. We're looking forward and hoping for more favorable weather conditions tomorrow, the warmer temperature, which is going to accelerate the salt melting, the ice and snow. So we're hopeful that this will not take too long to clear up, but it is going to fall really quick in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it'll be an intense period. Andrew Kondratiev for joining me. I really appreciate the time, and all the best to your crews tonight. Stay safe.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you.
All right, and we're continuing our live coverage of the snowstorm that is hitting Metro Detroit. Oh, it's already starting, as you can see from our one of our Metro cams there in Wayne County. We will be right back. Stay with us. And you are watching our live continuous coverage of the snowstorm that is hitting our area this afternoon. The snow is already coming down. Let's go ahead and get on over to Kim Adams, and she has more on what is happening right now and taking a look at some of that snowfall forecast in terms of the totals. Kim?
Well, right now, this storm is right on track with where we thought it would be at this time, with snow just now moving up through parts of Metro Detroit and will continue to pick up in intensity. So don't let the conditions now fool you. If you look outside, you're like, it's not so bad. The roads are just wet. I'm going to head out. It's going to get worse. Conditions will deteriorate significantly in a short period of time, just over the next couple of hours. We've already started to see a few heavier snow bands move through Metro Detroit, and that trend will continue. One of those bands just moved through parts of western Wayne County, right around Farmington Hills, Northville, Livonia, but it's going to pick up in intensity again over the next several hours. Now, on the east side, we've had a little bit of a mix. Started out as kind of a sleet situation in Grosse Pointe. That has now changed over to all snow. All snow here in Detroit, Dearborn, Melvindale, River Rouge, and at this point, it's fairly light to moderate, but again, it's early. Things are going to quickly deteriorate as we go through the next couple of hours. So you can see now we're not seeing any of that mix, no more of the pink with the sleet and the rain snow mix. It's all snow now from Grosse Pointe Woods down to the farms, Grosse Pointe Park. If you head along I-94, it will be snow. But the road temperatures right now are still above freezing in most areas. So anything you see in green here, those road temps are above freezing. But what we've noticed is that as the snow continues to move north, road temperatures, as expected, will drop. So road temps now are below freezing down in Monroe, and then you head into parts of Wayne County and just starting to get to that freezing line, still in the upper 30s to low 40s as you head north of that. But again, these road temps will be dropping, and as soon as they do, that snow is going to start to stick to the roads, and that's when things are going to get slippery. That will happen by about 5 o'clock tonight. So we're under a winter storm warning in effect until tomorrow at 4 a.m. We expect the heaviest snow anytime between about 5 and 9 o'clock tonight, and then it will slowly taper overnight. But it does come right during the evening rush. So 3 o'clock, we've got the heavier snow bands continuing to move through parts of Metro Detroit. That trend will continue and move a little bit farther to the north, and we'll start to notice heavier snow bands, especially out to our west, but even on the east side, getting in on some of these heavier bands. Then down in Monroe, right along the Ohio border, there will be a changeover from snow back to rain, back to snow, kind of a back and forth situation. So snow totals there a little bit less, the heavier amounts north and west of the city. By 11 o'clock, it's still snowing, but starting to taper down, and then eventually overnight moving off to the east. So how much are we expecting? By 4 o'clock, we'll already have just a light accumulation, but watch what happens by 8 o'clock. In just a 4-hour period, totals go anywhere from 2 up to as much as 5 or 6 inches. So we're talking about a snowfall rate anywhere from an inch, at times even 2 inches per hour. Add to it some high winds and you have reduced visibilities. 7.3 inches by midnight in Pontiac, 8.6 in Howell. The heavier snow bands again off to our north and west, but we're still getting at least 4 or 5 inches even on the east side. And then overnight, we'll see about 6 inches by tomorrow morning in Mount Clemens and City. Monroe picking up around 3.5, and then as you head to the north and west in Brighton, Howell, the heaviest totals there, anywhere from around 8 to close to 10 inches of snow. So again, a winter storm warning remains in effect until 4 a.m. Even if it looks okay outside right now, the roads are just wet. Keep in mind those road conditions are going to be deteriorating. So if you're thinking about staying at work a little bit later, it's best to really head out now rather than wait until it gets really bad, if you have that option to kind of leave early and let the road crews get out there and do their job when this heavier snow hits, again, between 5 and 9 p.m. I'll be on Local 4 News at 4 o'clock, and of course checking back here on Local 4 Plus, and you can download the Forewarn Weather app, so there's no reason for you not to be informed as to what's going on with this winter storm. Christy?
All right, thanks so much, Kim. I'll see you at 4 o'clock today on Local 4. All right, Kim talked a lot about the roads, and that is really what we're going to be watching tonight in this next 6-hour period as people are heading home for the week. You know, it's Friday afternoon. We have checked in with all of the road commissions from Macomb and Wayne and Oakland, down in Monroe as well, even in Washtenaw. And I think the one interesting thing is that they've had their crews still on cleanup really from the storm last week, from the ice storm. It's still cleaning debris. Yesterday, a lot of crews were doing potholes, and now those crews are changing back over again to do plowing. And so one big reminder when you're going out on the roads tonight, or if you have to commute back home, is to give them room, give them space to be able to plow and do their jobs. Don't try to pass them, and don't try to get too close to them. Stay about 5 to 6 car lengths behind. That's what the county road commissions are recommending. Another thing to point out here, though, the school day is mostly over for a lot of kids. There's a lot of those after-school activities and sometimes basketball games and other events. A lot of those things have been canceled, but you want to make sure you check the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Also on clickondetroit.com, we always have that comprehensive list of school closings and activity shutdowns that you're going to want to check for the rest of the afternoon. Now, Kim also talked about the snow that is coming down is wet right now, and we've also seen that condition-wise out on the road because it has been a little bit warmer, so things are just wet, but it is a heavy snow that is coming down. And when we think about heavy, wet snow and a significant amount of it in a short amount of time, I know people want to get out there and they want to start shoveling or even snow blowing, and that can be pretty dangerous if you're starting to attack about 8-9 inches of snow and trying to do it all at once. It is a very potentially dangerous situation for your health. So let's bring in interventional cardiologist, Dr. Justin Trevax from Corewell Health East. Dr. Trevax, it's good to see you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
All right. So as people look for this snowstorm, and I know pretty overzealous getting out there and wanting to shovel as much as possible, what should we think about and remember for our heart health when we're dealing with a heavy snow like this?
You said it perfectly. This snow is heavy. It's heavy, and this can be a very physically demanding task. And people love to do it. They look at it as a way of getting out and getting exercise. It provides a sense of accomplishment for a lot of people, seeing the driveway or the sidewalk perfectly manicured. It's a way to enjoy the outdoors, but individuals with underlying heart conditions like coronary artery disease or blockages in the arteries of the heart are at an increased risk of having heart attack and other cardiovascular events. And one very common misconception is that snow blowing is safe. It is not. While snow blowing very well may be less demanding on the heart, remember the weather is still cold out there and it causes the blood vessels to constrict, increasing the blood pressure, increasing the heart rate and the demands on the heart. So listen to your body. If you have chest pain or shortness of breath or palpitations, you're feeling lightheaded while you're out there, take a break, take some time and listen to your body.
You know, those are such good points. And I think when we think about exercise, you know, you said that, oh, it makes us feel good. We go out there, this will be our exercise. But for some of us who aren't used to lifting 20 pounds and hauling it then over our shoulder, it's almost like, should we be warming up a little bit before we even think about going outside, that it's not simple shoveling?
There's no doubt about it. And in 2011, in the American Journal of Cardiology, Beaumont Hospital published an article showing how shoveling snow indeed increased the risk of heart attack in patients with heart disease. But it also showed those who are habitually sedentary, people that don't exercise very much, are also at a risk of experiencing heart attack at a much higher level purely from shoveling snow. So again, if you don't get out all the time and get your 150 minutes of aerobic exercise a week, going out there and just jumping into pushing that wet snow around really might be a devastating event for the body.
Is there a difference between symptoms or signals of distress in men and women, or would be across the board the same symptoms?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for women and men, despite what anyone says, chest pain will still be the #1 symptom.
Okay.
Now, women may have a higher frequency of other symptoms, such as nausea or fatigue or shortness of breath, more than men will have. But again, if you're having any unusual symptoms that are occurring with exertion, that's a cause of concern, and you should be seen by a cardiologist. And if they're really acute symptoms, you should be seen in the emergency department.
And is it something that there could be some symptoms that linger?
Absolutely. Sometimes these events will provoke cardiac events, but it provokes it in a way where it may make a plaque in the coronary artery or a blockage. You just become very vulnerable. And so this may incite the event, but over the next few hours or days, you may have a sense of chest pain or overwhelming fatigue or something unusual. That's why it's so important to listen to your body and to know the warning symptoms.
All right, so it's good to know we've got cardiologists on call here with information for us as we go into this event here. Last things that you would like to tell our viewers to remember when they're dealing with this snow. Any last words for us?
Yeah, you know, it's so important to take frequent breaks, to stay hydrated, to use proper lifting techniques when you're out there, you know, shoveling. We can talk to our patients and say, don't shovel snow, let somebody else do it, or, you know, be smart about this. But at the end of the day, when the snow is accumulating, people are going to get out there. So listen to your body, dress appropriately, and take it slowly.
Yeah, take it slow. That's the best advice. Thanks so much, Dr. Justin Trevax, for all of the great information and things that, you know, we think that are common sense, but we really need to remember on a night like this. We appreciate it. You take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather outside. We'll take you on outside now to our tower camera in Howell. It is sleeting for sure there. I mean, you can see a little bit of condensation on the lens. There, traffic's moving along pretty well, but this is this mix that is coming through. We're seeing snow in a lot of places. We're seeing a little bit of sleet there, but this is really just the beginning of the event. And one thing that I do want to point out that Kim said earlier, she said, if you're looking outside right now and you're saying, it's not a big deal, it is going to pick up in speed and intensity. This is just the beginning of it, coming in, rolling in here at this 3:30, 4 o'clock hour. Let's go ahead and head on over to Ann Arbor. Okay, see, a very different condition there. Can't see much, but we know that it is snowing there. It started probably about an hour ago, and it has continued there and picked up in intensity. And then, yeah, and that's the big house. If you can see that, make that out in the snow. And and then we also are checking our cameras in Mount Clemens. We want to take a look at that. Oh, we're going downtown first. All right, here's downtown, and we can see that it is snowing in downtown as well. So we've got the snow there, and now let's roll on over to Mount Clemens, where we can't see much, but it looks like some rain there. So again, you know, with all these winter storms that we are covering, we see that it's just where you live, it's going to vary. And let's go ahead and finish off with our Windsor cam. Check on over at the very ghostly gray skyline of the city of Detroit there, where it is snowing. So we are going to be continuing to update you on the path of the storm, which is really supposed to pick up in intensity around 4 o'clock heading into 5 o'clock. Again, supposedly making these roads a mess for the afternoon commute. People trying to head on home tonight. Kim also talking about some pockets of the area that could see as much as 2 inches per hour at some points of the evening, and then tapering off overnight into Saturday morning around 4 o'clock in the morning. But she's going to have all of that for us coming up on Local 4 News at 4, 5, and 6. And we will be here on Local 4 Plus with you on clickondetroit.com with all the very latest. So we're going to take a break from now, but we're going to come on back and we'll have more of the updated snow totals for you, as well as the path of the storm. And then we'll see you for Local 4 News at 4.